Today is Tuesday, May 21st. It's 3:30. What is it? 34. I will not call the meeting to order. The SFO Airport Committee Roundtable Work Plan Subcommittee. We're meeting in person at the Hillsborough City Hall Conference Room and virtually via Zoom. Joining us today are staff of the Roundtable, Kathleen Wentworth, our Roundtable Coordinator, Diane Estepona. I pronounced that right, Diane?
Yes, that's true.
Good.
Thank you.
Roundtable Administrative Secretary. And we also have President Bert Ganong, SFO Aircraft Noise Officer. Bert, I pronounced that right?
Yes, sir. Thank
How
you.
about that? Okay. So with that, we'll move on to the roll call now. Ms. Wentworth, would you please call the roll?
Chair Al Royce,
Present.
Member Kaya Eakin, Member Terry O'Connell,
Present.
Member Sam Hindi,
Here.
and Member Angelina Cahalan.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Okay, great. We have a quorum, so we can move forward with the next item on the agenda. And the first item on the agenda will be public comment for items not on the agenda. Staff will note written comments which have been received. Diane, do we have any written comments?
No, we did not.
No written comments, okay. And we'll allow members of the public to speak on items not on the agenda. Members of the public who are present can please raise your hand or indicate by indicating on Zoom. And if you're on Zoom, we will allow you to speak. Diane, could you please explain how the public can participate in today's meeting?
Yes, for those attending in person, there are papers, we have speaker slips here. Please go on out, indicate which agenda item you are speaking on, whether you're commenting on the items or on the agenda. Not on the agenda. For those attending the meeting on Zoom video conference, we'll use the raise hand feature in order to organize any public comments. During the general public comment period and for each item on the regular agenda, I will ask those members of the public who wish to comment to click the raise hand feature to speak on that agenda item. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. When you hear your name called, I will prompt you to unmute your microphone and inform you that you will begin speaking. You'll have 2 minutes. Please note that members of the public must wait for the prompt in connection with each agenda item before using the raise hand feature. Written comments submitted in advance will be acknowledged by staff during the discussion of the appropriate agenda. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Diane. Appreciate that. So moving forward, do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on items not on the agenda?
There are no raised hands on Zoom or any public.
And none in the audience, okay? With that, we'll move on to the next item, which is the action to set the agenda. That's item number 1 on your agenda. Since the
moved.
only item on the consent, yes, somebody there?
So moved, she said.
I said
So
so
moved.
moved. Terry
Oh,
O'Connell.
thank you, Terry. Is there a second? Is there a second? We have a motion.
Second,
Angelina, could you second that if you like?
second,
Angelina, second. Okay, so moved and second to set the agenda. Item number 1, so let's move into the meat of the agenda today, which is our work plan discussion. Let me just set the stage a little bit beforehand. The work plan is a committee that meets once a year. And it's done in conjunction with the strategic plan, which is done on a 5-year basis. The strategic plan is more the overall vision, the overall aspirations, the goals of the SFO roundtable. The work plan, the annual plan, is designed to determine, in my opinion, I'll just call it the tactics, how we implement the strategic plan. And the work plan action items, the tactics, can be done over more than 1 year. We just review it every year and update it as we move forward. The work plan is meant to be done in connection with the overall strategic plan. So you'll notice as we go through today that for each of the strategic plan objectives, and there are 7, we will have 7 categories of the work plan, and we'll then detail what we plan to work on this year and how we plan to effectively move the strategic plan forward. I believe you all have got a copy of the detail of the work plan that was handed out. Is that correct, Kathleen?
Thank you, Dr.
Okay. Real quickly, if you look at the strategic plan is broken into 7 categories. One deals with, informing and educating our congressional representatives of what the roundtable's action plans are, what their strategic plans are, and what the issues are that we're dealing with. That's one category, and we'll get into work plan around that. The second broad category deals with aircraft procedures, nighttime flights, residential flights, GBAS, and operational noise. And we'll get into some of these tactics and strategies and work plan under that broad category of aircraft procedures. The third broad category is noise abatement. The SFO airport, ground-based noise and metrics, technologies, etc. And we'll get some action items around that broad category of noise abatement that we want to work on. The fourth category is the advocate for noise reduction. A lot of that's done in the roundtable and through a legislative subcommittee, but that's a broad category of advocacy and lobbying. The fifth category is a Fly Quiet program. Some of the awards program and some of the collaboration with the airline pilots and the airlines themselves. The sixth broad category is community concerns, and that's around the websites, training, learning, public awareness, public information. And the last category is roundtable effectiveness. Again, these are broad categories, but that deals with new member orientation, training programs, websites, etc. Those are your 7 broad categories for which the work committee, the work plan committee is designed to come up with some sort of action items for the 12 months beginning July 1 of 2024 to June 30th of 2025. And again, whatever we develop during this work plan session will be reviewed again and goes over for more than 1 year. It's not limited to only this year. It can be extended if next year's work plan committee decides to re-adopt it or modify it and so forth. Okay. Do we have a new member? I think I saw.
Oh, it's Kaya.
Oh, Kaya. Hi, Kaya. Welcome. Okay.
Hi. Sorry, I apologize for being late. Computery.
No problem. We're glad you could join us. So let the record show that Kaya joined us as well. So we have, I think, all the members are present today. So that's great news. Thank you all for attending. So you sent me a script. What does the script say here? The strategic plan, by the way, is a method of guidance, has been attached, and we have copies of it handy. It's a short plan, but it sort of lays out the 7 strategic objectives I mentioned earlier, along with the mission statement, along with some comments around the authority of the roundtable, etc. But it's a broader document. This is the more specific tactical document. Are there any questions on that per se, what we're determined to do today? Kaya?
Well, I have a question. I don't know if it's related to this, so I don't know if I should ask it now or later.
Please ask it now and we'll determine.
Okay, so I noticed that Congressman Mullen wrote a letter to the editor in the Daily Journal saying that Congress did approve that 10-year FAA plan
Okay.
that we had a meeting about 6 months ago. And I'm just curious of your professional comments about that and whether what we wanted was included, etc.
That's a great question, Kaya. We're actually going to address it in an overview perspective at the June roundtable meeting. And so, and that question has come up. Our consultants are putting together a short analysis of it. And after the June meeting, we'll do a more detailed dive into it at a legislative subcommittee in July. And at that point in time, we'll try to figure out exactly what's in it and what's not in it, and what if there's any actions we should take or any comments we should make on it. But you're right, this is a very timely topic, but thanks for raising it. Okay, so with that, let's move into the gist of our analysis today. And again, we'll take them each of the strategic strategies and then the work plan item related to it in order, starting with number 1, strategic plan goal number 1, familiarize our new Congress people. So Kathleen, did you want to walk us through that?
I just wanted to let people know that there are changes in the document that should have come across if you used a colored printer as red underlined changes, and those are staff proposed recommended changes to be considered as part of this. So that there is no staff recommended changes for the first 4 strategic plan goals, but then you'll see them later in the document. So I just wanted to make sure you knew what those were for.
Gotcha. So these first 4, in particular number 1, is a carryover from last year, correct?
The first 4 goals.
So this is the same goal we had last year as part of the work plan. And effectively, if you have it in front of you, it merely says that the roundtable will advocate with their new congresspeople, and we have 3 now representing us. Kevin Mullen, Anna Eshoo currently, and or speaker of that, Nancy Pelosi are the 3 congressmen that currently represent the San Francisco, San Mateo County area for our member cities. And we will advocate the new Congress people and the assembly person staff on all items of work plan. So our action plan is to work with their staffs and with the Congress member, making sure they know what we're doing and we know what they're doing, and to work with them. Same goal as we had last year. Are there any comments on action number 1 from a work plan perspective?
I just have a question as someone
Sure.
new. The Board of Supervisors have a representative already, so they kind of do that advocating, so we don't include them in this goal. Yes, we just focus that on Congress.
It's a great question, but your premise is correct. They have a representative,
Okay.
and we rely on that representative as a member of our committee effectively. Now, I'm not saying that we haven't at the roundtable. I think in the past, I think we have gone before the Board of Supervisors very infrequently with something that we think is a broad topic for the roundtable. We have the opportunity and the right to do that. But typically, we rely on David Pine, who is our current representative, to represent them and represent us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for the
By the
confirmation.
way, you might know all this is an ad lib. One of the comments made at the last roundtable was the name change in Oakland. And you know, Supervisor Pine took it to the Board of Supervisors and they passed a resolution opposing that name change. So he does represent the board on our behalf and us on their behalf too.
Right.
I'm sorry? Yes, please.
Not what you said, but just what Angelina brought up. And that is, as we're going through the document, you'll see the first kind of underlined section is strategic plan goal number 1. And then underneath that, it's underlined work plan item. So we're not charged with making changes to the strategic plan goals, since that's not our charge today, but that will be the charge of the strategic plan back down in probably November of this year. So that I don't know that we could change anything that's a strategic plan goal, but whatever's under the work plan.
Yeah.
Got it.
Got it.
Thank you.
And by the way, I'm sorry, please go ahead, Angela.
I just said thank you.
I might note last year, as you may recall, we wrote the letter from the legislative subcommittee on the FAA reauthorization, and prior to that, we've written a letter on noise metrics. In all those cases, we did work collaboratively with the congressional staff to effectively get their input and to share with them our input. And our letters were copied with them, and I think they effectively responded and participated in that too. So this category number 1, working with our congressmen, we have been doing that and intend to do it. It's a critical part of our collaborative function here. So just make that note.
And one of the Representative Mullen's staff generally attends our roundtable, the regular meetings, Susan Kennedy.
If there's no other comments on item number 1, and again, on Zoom, we're going to take a vote on them all at the end, not independently. There's no further comments. We'll move to strategic plan goal number 2. And again, our action plan for this year around that. Strategic plan goal number 2 is to review and comment on aircraft procedures. It's to focus on all aircraft procedures, including arrival, departure, and ground-based procedures. Action item, the roundtable will focus, advocate, and respond on procedural changes that limit the noise impacts in our communities. And under the roundtable, action work plan items, we've got, I think, 4, right? No, actually, 6. No. 8, I apologize, we had more than I, we had 8 items, work plan. And they're the same as last year, so I'm not gonna reread them all, but I am gonna summarize them quickly. The first work plan item under aircraft procedures, arrival, departure, and ground-based procedures will monitor and evaluate the implementation of the FA night and hush departure southbound transitions, the nighttime noise abatement procedures. For operational compliance, including location, altitudes, and use during nighttime. And again, we'll continue to advocate for increasing the duration of the nighttime hush. Right now, it's from 1 to 5. We had originally lobbied for, I think it was 10 to 7, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. And that was not feasible, but we did get 1 to 5. We'll continue to advocate for extended nighttime hush hours. That's action item number 1 under the work plan. Action item number 2 is working with the technical consultants, discussing air traffic control non-safety vectoring over residential areas at any time, especially at night. So we're going to continue to work with trying to limit aircraft at nighttime over residential communities. Okay, number 3, number 3, the Roundtable Technical Working Group, working with the technical consultants, should advocate to the FAA, the SFO, and airlines that at night when aircraft are landing to the west and SFO on 28 left or 20 right, to use only runway 28 right for arrivals and for landing. So again, trying to refocus on what runways they ought to be using, particularly at nighttime. That's another focus for the work plan. The 4th, again, evaluate nighttime operations and recommendations on how to lessen nighttime noise, aircraft noise for all residents. So nighttime's a big push for us. Number 5, SFO ground-based augmentation system to provide feedback, monitoring it, provide feedback, and effectively deal with the communications to the community. And we do a lot of that to our TWG committee. And then number 6, the Roundtable Technical Working Group will work with SFO to draft the procedures to disable the GBAS approaches if they are deemed to negatively impact the community. This was sort of a premise as we adopted GBAS, is that we monitor it. And if it's not doing what we said, if it's not working, if it's not reducing noise, then we would work to try to take it out. Sort of a pilot program. If it wasn't working, we wouldn't use it. So those are the 6 action items under the strategic category number 2. That was aircraft, what's it called? Aircraft procedures. Open for comments, discussions. Anybody agree? Did I miss one? Oh, I missed. Oh, I missed number 7 and 8. I apologize. Number 7 was, again, there were a couple of recommendations that the Roundtable made initially on GBAS. I think that were not initially deemed appropriate. I think we now conclude that 2 of them might be deemed appropriate, and we're going to revisit them. They're making changes to the runway 9 on arrivals and depart. Well, these would be arrivals, obviously. And then number 7B, again, the southeast arrival stream from the Oakland SFO from nighttime alternative to the chauffeur arrival. We're going to work on those procedures. So those, and that's number 7. Number 8. Number 8 deals, Angelina, you may be of particular interest in this, including departure noise day and night from the closed-in communities, and Terry, you as well, and myself, Millsboro, the closed-in communities around SFO. Working with the technical consultant, the ground-based noise subcommittee will evaluate operational changes that will help make ground-based noise. We'll work to evaluate options for nighttime offset arrivals to runways 28 right, 28 left. 8C and 8D and 8E, I think, were self-explanatory. Again, they deal with arrivals to effectively improve the arrivals to reduce the noise for the closed-in communities. So those are the 8 action items around category number 2. Kathleen, do you want to add anything before we open up for member discussion? Any comments on it? Do you think we have them all? Are we missing anything?
As her answer.
Kaya, I'm sorry, please.
Again, I don't know if this is apropos to these 8 priorities or not, and I defer on that. It's just a thought occurs. You know, we had that Stanford professor, and then he couldn't come the last time, but he's questioning about the noise and the methodology, or maybe he's not, but there's something having to do with methodology or noise. I don't know if this falls into one of these 8 priorities or not. I just throw it out there.
No, that's a great comment. I'm trying to recollect, his point was that the studies of the metrics, that metrics were not accurately reflecting the data. And thus the FAA was not getting accurate data. And that would influence, you know, actions taken if the data is not correct. I don't know how that impacts this or not. Bert, Kathleen, you have any comments on it?
I don't know if this is where it belongs. I wonder if it belongs in the next one. Let me just see what that says. No, I mean, big noise impacts to surrounding communities. With the metrics applied to the abatement process,
They might,
more than the procedures. This is
Yeah.
like a procedures thing.
yeah, these are procedures under this one. We're actually having him speak, at the TWG meeting that Sam chairs. Unfortunately, because of a illness in the family, we had to reschedule it. And it will not incur, I think, until after our June meeting. Terry, you have a comment?
It's possible that it would work under strategic plan goal 4 for airport noise, aircraft noise reduction, because it's to research for whether the noise is really if the noise is being accurately monitored.
You know, actually, that's a great point, Terry. And Kai, if you're agreeable, perhaps we defer that discussion till we get to number 4. My guess is that because we will not hear from him until after our roundtable, that we may, if we need to, we can come back and amend the work plan at a future meeting. But I think that might be the category it falls under.
And I would just say too, that it sounds like these goals are inclusive of that type of exploration. So maybe we don't need to amend this plan anyway, because it's included in what that Stanford professor is doing.
I think it's broad enough. I will know more after we hear what he has to say specifically, frankly. But I think you're probably correct. I think you're probably correct on that.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes, Kathleen?
I really like Kaya's idea, but it's a little out of order. Could I talk about number 4, or just, you want to come back to that?
Could we, let's defer that
Yeah.
when we get to 9-4, if that's okay. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll lose track of where we are. So we're still under action, work plan item number 2, which again deals with the aircraft procedures. Are there any objection to any of these 8 or all the subpoints, action items that we said we're going to work on? Are there any additions to them? Or any changes? And again, this is carryover from the prior year, a couple of years, I think. If not, assuming there's no objection, we'll move to item number 3. Is that okay with members? Okay. Let's move to item number 3. And again, this is airport operation noise. And this is to abate the noise impacts to the surrounding community from airport and airline operations. The action item, the roundtable will identify noise impacts and provide recommendations to the SFO Airport Noise Abatement Office, Bert's here, for outreach to airlines and FAA, as well as the airport directory to address in the airport development and noise action plan. That's the action item from the strategic plan, and we've got 3 work items here. Items number 1, review and provide feedback on the SFO strategic plan, development plan, and noise action plan, including environmental justice, especially as it affects health and the feedback. Item number 2, the Roundtable ground-based noise subcommittee will complete recommendations on airport rules and regulations, airport directors report metrics to include seat-weighted noise and above in the director's report. And using gates that face away from close-in communities and see where a need and seat-weighted fits in with these goals. So that's action item number 2. It's a pretty comprehensive one. Then item number 3, consider conducting wide-ranging technical studies within the roundtable jurisdiction to identify nighttime noise events, determine whether or not they're caused with published procedures, compliance with published procedures or non-compliance, et cetera. And we've been doing a fair number of studies. So this again is the study dealing with the close-in noise and effect, particularly nighttime. Those are the 3 action items under category number 3. Are there any, Kathleen, you want to elaborate on that at all?
No,
Do we have something? We had it.
we had, yeah, we had
The third one? So last year, items, work plan items 1 and 2 were there. We added item number 3. Is that correct?
That's what we had.
The roundtable can use additional technical studies as appropriate. Are there any comments with respect to that?
I like that. I
Karen?
like that we added the to identify noise events and what the cause is, because a lot of times we hear that there's an event or we see it on the report, but we don't know really why. And I think that the outreach that's going to take is going to be quite a bit of work to really figure out why they're deviating. It doesn't really say to engage Tracon or whoever, but I don't know if we want to go to that specific of mentioning, whether it's related to Tracon or other, or if vectoring is just enough.
If I may,
Bert?
I don't think we'd want to go there only because we're not allowed to communicate with Tracon Direct
Oh.
anymore. We have to go through our community engagement officer, Wayfair, and Joe Bird.
Joe Burt.
Yeah,
So we communicate with FAA and they would then communicate with Tracon?
or other agencies within their lines of business. Yes,
So just
Okay.
kind of a broad
I
statement.
would say broad. Yes,
Coordinate
keep
with
it broad
whoever needs to.
because if we
Okay.
be very specific, then we limit ourselves.
But your point
Okay.
well taken is maybe you don't need to put it here, but at least we're alert to the fact that that's how we can do it then.
Hmm.
And so that I think is inclusive when we can.
Okay,
Other
great,
questions
thank you.
or
I just,
comments? Thank you, Terry. Other questions or comments on strategic goal number 3? Again, that is, keep track of my minutes, and that is the one dealing with airport operation noise. I think Angelina from Millbrae and Terry from Brisbane, and clearly for me, those are pretty critical ones in terms of close-in communities, and I think they're broad enough to cover everything we've talked about. Yeah, if I'm wrong, let me know, but I think they're sufficiently broad. Okay. With that, we'll move to category number 4.
So everybody's good with 1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, 3. Everybody's good with 1, 2, 3. Any objection? Okay, I'm seeing no objection. So hearing no objection, we'll move on to item number 4. Strategic plan goal 4 is to lobby for aircraft noise reduction. Lobby for aircraft noise reduction by sponsoring legislation and research. The action item is to actively monitor, review, and oppose or support legislation, research, and/or aircraft noise reduction programs to achieve measurable noise reduction in our communities. I think the comment made earlier about whether the metrics are accurately reflecting the data. I think Terry and Kai made those comments. That's spot on in this one. So because that's what this is all about. And there are 4 work plan items under it, and that is to obtain reports and updates from knowledgeable aviation third parties such as NOISE, which is a national organization, the airport noise reports, and others regarding federal legislation in action to the Congressional Quiet Skies Caucus. Number 3, lobby and advocate at the state and federal level. I don't know if we want to put county in there. County may not have a lot of control over the aviation programs, but with the potential changes regarding some of the heliports and some of our manned equipment, we may want to amend that to include county. And I'll come back to that. And then last, work with congressional and other elected officials to help develop and pass noise-related legislation. We've been doing that quite regularly. Congresswoman Spear had the 8 bills introduced a few years ago, which we've been supporting ever since. But those are the 4 categories. Are there questions or comments?
Miss Egan has her hand raised.
Who did?
Miss Egan has her hand raised.
Hi.
I did. Kaya, please, go ahead.
Oh, I just want to make sure we included state because that Caltrans guy who came, but it's in there already.
Yeah.
And then if we're going to add county, we might want to specify both San Francisco and San Mateo County. But
Good point. Yeah, well, good point.
Or maybe just state, federal and local.
Federal or local.
That would take, city councils and the county, local counties.
So state, federal and local. That
I
sounds.
think the
local.
yeah, that
local,
sounds.
I think the local gets it, and I do think that, San Francisco certainly might have some impact on some of these items since they are the operator also.
That's a good point. Yeah. Okay. Let's, so without objection, we'll add the word local and work plan item number 3 then. Okay. Are any comments on these? These are, sort of the function of the legislative committee is the subcommittee of the roundtable. Kathleen?
Going back to Kaya's suggestion on number 1 on this grouping.
Yep.
Obtain reports and updates from knowledgeable aviation third parties such as noise and airport press reports. I would suggest perhaps we just write in their scientific studies.
Okay, I
So,
think that would include the Stanford people. Anybody opposed to that?
No.
Okay, Bert, you good with that?
Yes.
Okay. Sam, does that sound good? You know more about this than any of us, so, okay. Appreciate it.
and then maybe on number 4, we might want to add local level there as well.
Yeah, at the elected officials, that state, federal, and local. Without objection, we'll add it there to be consistent. Okay. Okay. I don't want to hinder this. I don't want to slow conversation down. So please, if you have any comments or questions, once we're done with the 7, we'll come back and see if we're missing everything in total. But strategic goal number 5. This might be a little bit more. It's the airline award program. The roundtable will partner with SFO to modify the Fly Quiet program to obtain compliance and measurable improvements year over year. The action item, the roundtable will report to its community its Fly Quiet program compliance and measurable improvements in compliance year over year. There are, there are 2 action plans under that. Number 1, in light of the noise annoyance results from the FAA Neighborhood Environmental Study and the FAA's review of their civil aviation noise policy, the roundtable working with the Texas Zone will work with the SF International Airport to evaluate the current components of the Fly Quiet program and propose any modifications or changes or deletions to the components, including the GBAS approaches. And number 2, the Fly Quiet program airline award, suspended because of lower air traffic during COVID, should be resumed as soon as possible. So those are the 2 action items under category number 5, the airline award program. Again, the purpose of that was to effectively get the airlines on board with effectively either voluntarily, hopefully voluntarily, and I think this is all this can do, adopt better programs and better procedures to fly more quiet. And if so, we would reward them by monitoring those airlines which have done an outstanding job. There's been, just among us in this public meeting, I think there's been some concern about how effective that's been. And if it's been worth all the time and effort. On the other hand, you know, when you measure it and you give people an acknowledgement, hopefully they want to get those. So, that's part of our strategic plan for the 5 years. So it's still in our strategic plan until, or unless we change it when we meet later this year and we redo the next 5 year strategic plan. So my guess is it should stay in there and we should work with the airport about whether or not, how we make it work. Any comments or questions? Sam, what's your experience with this? I'll yield to you on this.
You called on me, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thanks. I want to ask Bert, do you see from your perspective, since you're on that program, any challenges with the assumption of the awards as recommended?
No, not at all. I mean, as far as the software that we have running it, yes, we ran into issues with that and we converted over to our new system. And we believe that we finally mounted those hurdles. We believe that 2 years ago, and we hit a rock wall. And now we're hopefully cooking with gas again and should be good to go. Now that would be for the old FlightQuiet program, as everybody knew it before. And we will be pushing the numbers out soon. The in the interim, we looked at doing some different metrics that we could look at. Worked with our vendor, worked with one of their newer staff that used to be with London Heathrow, which has a very shall we say a newer but robust FlightQuiet program. And he was the author on it after viewing our program.
Oh.
So he took what we did and evolved it.
Over there.
At some points, he put the teeth into it that they had to for the European Union that we can't do here legally. So we have to be very careful on the components that we do use and what we're able to put out.
But it was worthwhile in your opinion and is worth continuing. Is that correct?
I do. I mean, we met with many of the airlines that were subpar performers and we supplied tons of them. And we got a lot of good results out of that, in my opinion. And we saw some real good improvements. I know for a fact with Cathay Pacific, for example, they wanted to know why a competitor of theirs that was departing within 30-40 minutes of their departure in the morning was performing so much better at gap departures in particular. And so we ran the numbers and said, well, the same airplane, same everything, the only difference is the engines. And those engines they were using were louder and didn't quite have the thrust rating the other engines did. And so after that, we noticed that the airline, when they needed more aircraft, bought the exact same aircraft that was performing well and put them on the SFO route. So things like that are big changes for an airline to do, and they did it because of the FlightQuiet meetings.
That's a great testimony. Terry, I'll get 1 minute. Sam, did you have a follow-up comment? Or?
Yeah, no, I mean, just a very quick comment. I mean, since the program is voluntary, it's important to recognize the airline that go, one step further to address the noise. And looking forward to having that implemented or reinstated.
Okay, Terry has her hand up and then Angelina. So Terry?
So let me make sure I'm unmuted. I keep muting myself because my dogs decide to bark. So, everybody else has mentioned it, but I think in this workplace, in this work plan item, we need to say it's voluntary. I think that the label of the beginning of this header needs to say, this measurable, it's a voluntary program. So that we're trying to put strength or, get compliance from a voluntary program, because I think that needs to really be, it's mentioned later in the text, but I think it really needs to be in the line item of the text so that people reading our strategic plan realize that it is voluntary.
So Catherine, can you speak up?
I was gonna, Sarah, that's an excellent idea. May I suggest that we save her idea for the strategic committee, which does have the goal of the mantra of changing the goals. So I'm gonna make a note of that, if that's okay.
So I think so effectively, the heading is from the strategic plan, which this committee can't change. But the strategic committee, of which you're on it, Terry, is gonna meet in a couple months on the strategic plan, and I think that's a great idea. Let's change that.
But in the action item, we could say the roundtable will report to its community's voluntary fly quiet
Okay.
program.
Could do that, I think, yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. We could do that.
It's a little change, but I think it says a lot.
Clearly we can be the better, because people get confused. Angelina and then Kaya.
I'm just gonna comment on that story and connect it to number 2 under the work plan item here. I think stories like that, the more we can promote them, it could get other airlines on board to join in that success and celebration, and for the public to hear these stories, because I think the public just has a perception that nothing's ever changing. And so I don't know if kind of under number 2, if we just know it's under that language, or, ways to include not just actions and updates, but success stories, airport success stories in addition to just I don't know if that counts as part of roundtable actions and success, or if it's.
She exited herself.
Oh,
She got too excited.
Did she get cut off?
Yeah, I think she'll log back in.
Okay, unfortunately, she got cut off, so we'll wait. While we're waiting for her, Kaya, did you wanna make a comment?
I thought I loved Angelina's idea. I have to go. I'm so sorry, but thank you all. Do you need my vote now or?
No, well, I think we just make a recommendation in the roundtable. We don't vote, so I don't think we'll need a vote.
Okay, well,
But I
thank you so
appreciate
much. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much for your work. Bye-bye.
Thank you, thanks, Ken. Angelina, you're back. I'm afraid you got cut off there.
You're on mute.
I unmute. Can you unmute?
Hello? Okay,
There we
sorry
go.
about that. My computer decided to reboot. Luckily, I can log in on my phone. I think that was the end of what I was saying. Just, I don't know if a story like that counts as a roundtable update, or if we want to say it more specifically as airport updates or airline updates. But
We
just
have
thinking of
provided
stories
them.
like that and putting out the success.
I think it's a great idea. I like it.
Sorry to interrupt.
People communicate with stories. Bert, you had a comment?
Yeah, I was gonna say, sorry to interrupt you, but we have provided those over the years, and Kathleen, you may
Okay.
remember some, such as the Qantas. They used to come in here with a 747-400, one flight in, one flight out, and just going to Australia. So they scored terribly.
Yeah.
And then one summer, they decided to add in a Vancouver day trip while the airplane was sitting on the ground. And that took them out of the basement, and they were actually scoring very well because they were able to do runway 1 departures midday, no noise problems, and it worked well for them for the summer. And then they fell back in the basement when they went back to old habits.
I think the point, and I know you have done it trouble is we have new members and change.
Oh, I know,
sometimes, so
yeah.
We need to find some way to capture it, because I do think it's important that the public understands is that we are trying to address these issues in collaboration with the airport
Mhm.
and the FAA, and we've got a pretty good working group now, I think. Maybe Angelina, I'm looking at community concerns, goal number 6. Maybe under the website, there might be some stories that we can capture that can then carry forward. So they don't get lost from year to year. Because these are some great stories.
Mhm.
Kathleen, you have a comment?
I think we could make that work.
Maybe you can do it there. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments on item number 5? It's great discussion. Okay,
For clarification, the
Yeah.
other change we made there was adding voluntary
adding
to the
voluntary.
work program,
yeah,
to
yeah.
locations.
And
Thank you.
then under number 6, well, we'll get to that right now. Okay, the next strategic goal is item number 6, address community concerns. Focusing on San Mateo and the San Francisco counties, continue to actively respond to community concerns regarding aircraft and airport noise issues. Action item, provide the forum for communities to voice their concerns and give their input. Educate community members about FAA, SFO International Airport, airlines, and the San Francisco Airport Roundtable, roles and responsibilities and authority. The work plan has 4 items connected to it. 1, revamp the Roundtable website to include useful meeting information, et cetera, and we'll add there, I think, some stories of past successes as examples, something around that, if I'm hearing the recommendation correctly. Number 2, periodically report to the roundtable into the public on roundtable actions and updates. So the reporting mechanism. Number 3, analyze noise monitoring methodology, collaborate with the SFO Aircraft Noise Office to suggest changes to noise reporting publications and make recommendations as appropriate to state, local, state, and federal. We have local there already, which is good. And then number 4, continue to expand the Roundtable Learning Project, posted to the webpage to include PowerPoint, learning presentations, et cetera. So effectively, what we're trying to do there is be responsive to the public, give them a forum to discuss, provide opportunities to report to them on what's going on, and also provide some training mechanisms for the public as well as our members around that. So what did we add there, Kathleen, on item number 6?
Under strategic 6 work plan items 1, starting with the current roundtable website should be updated because it's limited.
Yeah.
For example, we use a very fairly outdated content management system, and we don't even have available, I know, a search feature. So if they want to search for a particular topic, they'll have to scroll through the list of topics that we have available, and it'd be nice to have that feature.
Is that managed by the county?
No, it's
That's
not.
managed by the airport?
Yes.
Okay, so updating the website.
Not the airport.
No, I'm sorry. No, it's run by us. It's
By
run
us, the roundtable,
Yeah.
under the counties. Aren't we connected to their?
Well, no, we're not
We're not,
gonna. Actually, we're having some discussions as of last week, about working with the county and possibly working on a new website.
Yeah.
Very, very fundamentally rudimentary introductory comments, discussion, but we're working there.
Okay.
And then the other proposed change is the new number 4, which is to expand the learning project.
Okay. So any questions or comments? I think, to me, what pops out here, other than the forum and the reporting, is to really spend some time getting the website to be more user-friendly to the public and to our members. And secondly, provide more opportunities for people to understand the mechanics of aircraft, the flying programs, acronyms and how it all works and runways. Because it's complicated here. You know, Bert did the seminar on the noise metrics. So we need to get that on the website so people can go back and listen to it. Because I think I have to listen about 5 times to fully understand all these different measures. Despite the great job you did, but we need to do a better job around that, and that's what this is designed to address, I think. Are there any questions or comments on that?
Comment real quick, Al, if I may.
Sam? Or Sam?
I think those are two great action items that are added under this category. I mean, the website, needless to say, it's the first point of contact with the public, with the roundtable, and sometimes the first and the last one, right? That people get their information from there. So to that extent, that we could modernize it and make it more user-friendly, I think it'll be fantastic. The learning library that Kathleen embarked on last year and having that archived and people have access to it 24/7 is great way, because it's a lot of information for new members and members of the public, and to come in and expect anyone to really learn it in a few hours, it's not going to happen. But having that available to do it at each individual's time when that permits, I think a great asset, and it will remain there forever, right? So I think as we continue to beef that up, that would be wonderful.
Right. Okay. Are there any changes on goal number 6? Hearing none, seeing none, let's move to the last strategic goal, goal number 7.
So we're adopting them as
Yeah,
proposed modifications.
yeah.
Got it.
Goal number 7, improve roundtable effectiveness. Increase the roundtable effectiveness with inward focused member education, support, and mentorship. Action item, the roundtable will make an ongoing effort at strengthening our membership by developing a mentorship program, creating a new member packet, and translating technical jargon. There are 6 subcomponents of this. 1, update the new member packet for new members. We've got a lot of new members in the last few years, and there might be some more going forward, so I think that's critical.
Actually,
I'm sorry.
I suggested we delete that because,
Oh,
I'm sorry, my mistake. Where are we at?
I'm on 71. Category 7, number 1, let's see. Continue to update right here.
Okay, so this is it added.
So we added
We're deleting it, actually. We're deleting that.
update
because we
the
have-
Noise 101 training, edging.
We did.
Well, that's the Noise 101, then we have the new member packet.
Yeah, but okay, but this is being deleted for this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I want you to articulate so people know what we're talking about.
Okay. So under number 7, work plan items, number 1 is the original number 1, which should be shown as deleted in your packet with red font and line through it. Because we have completed the Noise 101, 2023 Noise 101 training. So since it's completed, I suggest we delete this item unless you want to say to update it on a regular basis or something else. And then the new member packet.
So effectively, last year, one of the work plan items was a Noise 101 project. And that's been done now. That's been implemented. It's on the website. So we're saying that's done. So in place of that, for this year, we want to redo and update the new member packet would be the goal for this year. Replacing one with the other. The second thing is update and expand. Is that new here, the number 2?
That's a new, yeah.
Could you go through that one then?
So we referred to it on the website, issue in number 6. But this is one to update and expand the learning project materials periodically and to continue to provide the new member syllabus to these materials. And to provide a new member packet to the new roundtable members before the first regular meeting of the year. And also, we copied the existing members as well, not just the new people.
These are all new, right? All
These
of
are all
you
new,
two?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so learning project materials, update and expand. Number 3 is providing a file and glossary of aviation terms as part of the new member packet. I think people are always confused by all these acronyms and what all these terms mean. And so we're going to try to keep an updated glossary of terms that people can easily refer to. Number 4, using
I'm
a
so sorry.
satellite. Yes, I'm sorry, Angelina.
So sorry, I have to go.
Okay.
In terms of voting, I feel very good about everything that we have here. Um,
Thank you.
so,
Okay.
okay, thank you so much.
Appreciate you being here. Thanks, Angelina. Okay. Number 4 was using a satellite-based map to create a graphical compilation of SFO public flight procedure along some actual flight tracks. I'm not sure I fully understand that one, Catherine. You want to explain that one?
The flight tracks that we have, put them on a Google map. So that people can see where those flight tracks go, over their
Oh.
city limits and that kind of stuff.
And put them on the website so people can actually track. the
That-
flight tracks you did that?
There is, Bert will explain, what there is, actually, we could show it to people. But this would just be a static, what number 4 is a static map that, we would create, which shows our 2 jurisdictions with all of the flight procedures, like overlaying on these, and where they can see some city streets, so they can actually see where they are. And then, also put in, so those are where the procedures are, and then also have some sample tracks maybe on there showing, well, where they're actually going.
Terry, you had a comment?
It sort of went along, it seems, it went along with my idea of having, an interactive race car track on a table where you could say, well, when somebody's taking off and doing the, night hush, they do this. When they're doing a regular route, they do something else. So I think just showing common routes before vectoring on what's going to show there. Because I think vectoring is going to throw in a whole bunch of other stuff into it, but showing the common routes, what is the gap departure? I mean, people on our roundtable don't know when we say the gap, and we assume it's common knowledge. So I think just showing what a common gap departure is, a down the bay or a night hush, those kind of departures on a map.
Gotcha. So this is sort of a visual illustration of how these other paths are going over the towns.
Instead of seeing the gobbledygook that we get, and I won't say it, it's got so many flights over it, it's hard to tell what somebody's talking about. But if we have just a path, I think it gives you more of an idea of where that plane is expected to go. Not necessarily where it goes, but where it's expecting to go.
That's their spring tournament.
Okay,
So what we do have access to is the San Francisco.
can people on Zoom see that?
Yes.
Mhm.
They can, okay, good, thank you.
And Bert, let's see. Let's see. So in this case, let's highlight the stick, because that shows up a little bit better. So if you can see it, this is a real, almost real time, Bert.
We're a minute off on the actual flight tracks.
So as you can see, you've got a little ability down here on the layers just to click a particular departure. If you want to see, say the stick, which I might show you. So it shows you a general idea of where the planes are supposed to be going on the stick. And these are the actual airplanes moving right now. This brings up, maybe this is something we should have at a future meeting.
Yeah,
Bert can walk us through the details of all this now. So this is pretty much what you're talking about, Terry. Maybe not all the features that you and I would like, but it gets there.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think that we would show it from where it comes in to where it, lands basically. So we would see that a typical stick, the whole route, instead of just the
Right.
plane in the middle of the route.
So what we would do is, there's not much activity out here. Well, let's just take this is a gap departure, but just to show you. So in this particular case, this guy took off from the airport, went this way, and then you're gonna watch, like, actually it's this path, it'll show the whole path.
It's on the
Where they went.
Santana.
Yeah, he's on the Santana, but is this guy on the gap?
Well, we consider,
going?
yes.
We'll see it in a minute.
you see where he's going though.
Yeah, so this is a really, really important feature that SFO provides to the public. But it does require, a little bit of, guidance to get through and learn it. Terry, your idea is great, and maybe we should incorporate this, TWG meeting somewhere. We can talk about that offline since it's a long topic, but I just wanted to show you that we've got something great that, we should probably share with our members more directly.
If I may, the airport director said I'm going to do a new noise 101 this year, so maybe we could focus it on things like this.
Oh, and for the future.
No, just this year, I'm doing a noise 101.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't have to be the rope that we've had over years. I mean, it could be whatever we want.
So that's great.
We could run through a glossary of terms, take this, do whatever you guys want.
Good, super.
Good.
luck.
Good.
But I think this is really important that our members know about this because it's also, in talking with some of the members, they thought that I have explained this to and shown this to, they thought it was really great to show their constituents so that they feel like they have to, they know what's going on.
No,
May not like it, but they know what's going on.
No, I do think we ought to have, at one of the roundtables, have a discussion, so members understand this. It's a useful tool. Could you flip back to the Zoom then?
Yeah.
I can see the members are still there. Sure. Okay, so that's number 4. Number 5 is a staff permitted, underline that. Establish one-on-one member tutoring sessions. Provide an introductory briefing to each member as requested. So that's another action item. That would involve having members that could be willing and able to explain the tutoring. But
Staff
staff would provide it.
as I've done with a couple of our members, take them through their cities.
And then number 6, augment the roundtable budget to allow hiring a person or a consultant for special projects and media to implement, oversee, and update a website with modern features. So again, getting back to the website. So those are the 6 action items we had under improving roundtable effectiveness. All 6 of these, or at least, well, all 6 of these are new. Last year, we had one that's now been replaced, and that's Noise 101. But I think we still have updating it. I just heard you talk about it. So maybe that should stay in there as an update.
Well, I think Bert was talking about San Francisco's Noise 101, which is not
Not this one.
that different. That's not, you're not talking about like the one we did in conjunction with HMH and you and the FAA and us.
I may rope in the FAA, but no, historically, we did it all.
Get a new one?
And I've already said, you're doing a noise 101 this year. Agreed.
Okay, so maybe number 1 needs to be not deleted, but just said, update as appropriate or something.
So what's been recommended here, I don't know if you heard, is under the 6 categories that we talked about. The one we've taken out, which is updating and monitoring the noise 101. We'll leave that in there and give us flexibility in case we want to continue to work on that with the airport going forward.
Okay, can we modify it? So
Sure.
we'll just say, participate in an update and then always annual? I've seen a lot of years where we haven't had one.
Most of the time we do.
Okay,
We may skip a year here and there, but
So what we're doing in that number 1 that we had originally deleted was put it back in to just modify to say we're participating in any 101 noise 101 updates, working with other parties as appropriate.
okay.
Okay, so we have 7 action items there. Any discussion or comment on those? I think it's pretty thorough, frankly. A lot of work there, but I think it really does address the issue of the strategic plan about roundtable effectiveness. So these, again, just to reiterate, we're not at liberty to add any actions that don't fit within one of the strategic plan's 7 objectives. So these are the strategic plan 7 objectives. But having said that, if we're missing something, we could probably find a category to put it in. So is there anything we're missing on our work plan for the upcoming year? Terry?
I'm wondering if we have anything about the noise health studies that the FAA or the feds have been promising us for several years, and they keep telling us they're under review, but I didn't see anything related to health. And I think the noise health studies are something we should try to push for. Maybe that's through the legislature portion. Maybe that is going to be through one of the subcommittees or some other section. But I don't see where we're advocating for getting those studies published or trying to disseminate the information that's going to be contained in them.
Kathleen, you have a comment?
Maybe look at goal number 4,
Goal number 4?
see if there's a way to put that in. This
Uh,
plan item, obtain reports and updates.
We could possibly put something in there, number 4. I would only comment that, I think that is a strategic objective that we ought to give a lot of thought to this fall with our overall strategic vision. And I did note that, at least looking real quickly at the FAA reauthorization, they do mention some of these health studies in it. So they've opened the door and ultrafine particles and some of that stuff. So I think that whether we do something here or not, I think is this, and when we're talking about the strategic plan, Terry, I think that's a great comment to put there.
It's just, I'd love to see somewhere in this state that we talk about, we put the word health somewhere, just so it opens the door a crack.
No,
To have that under our radar, so to speak.
maybe under work plan, under goal number 4, lobbying for aircraft noise reduction. Because we've been saying that it's really a health issue. Noise is not just a noise, it's also health. So we could put under category 5, we could put a new category there. We have 4 right now, we could put category 5 is to develop further discussion, encourage further discussion and studies around the health impact of the noise impact.
Yeah, I would be happy with that. I just think that it needs to just have some mention of health impacts, because that's what most people end up talking to about when they talk about noise annoyance. They talk about the health impacts, the social impacts and the health impacts. So, you know, I think it'd be good to get that word in this document somewhere.
I think that might be the place to put it. So I think that's a great comment. We'll have that in.
Can I try this? Advocate and promote for more studies on the health impact of aircraft noise.
Yes. Well, I guess we need to say it's noise, but it's about the aircraft themselves, but.
Aircraft operations. On aircraft
The
operations.
noise resulting from aircraft and operations. Maybe
Yeah, that's
probably-
good. That's good.
Noise and operations.
Yeah, I
Sam,
just
you have a
wanted
comment?
health.
I'm sorry, Terry.
That's it.
Sam, you have a comment?
I do have a clarifying question regarding number 6. Is the intent here for a part-time staff member or full-time?
Number 6.
Yeah, modify the roundtable budget to allow hiring a person, staff or consultant for a special project.
Right now, it's meant to be flexible. And it's meant to be whether you hire an employee or a consultant. The originally was it'd probably be a part-time person, but if budget would allow and the projects would seem to support a full-time, then we'd probably go that direction. But I think, at least it's, just be honest with you, some initial discussions, there was some concern, at least in this year, whether or not we ought to, crawl before we walk and walk before we run as we expand our scope. And maybe half-time would be appropriate right now to start with. That was the thought process.
Yeah, no, that is great. Kathleen, is the county, as far as the roundtable coordinator, is that the direction? Does the county determine it's a part-time, or is it the roundtable bylaws or rules, or who determines that the roundtable coordinator is a part-time?
It has to do with the language in the contract between the airport, the county of San Mateo and their airport, and the county of San Mateo, which provides services to the airport to support the roundtable. And right now, that contract is being tweaked a little bit, and I believe that it will wind up with more flexible language with the ability for the roundtable to make those decisions as part of that contract, that tweaking. Bert, do you want to say
Thank you.
anything?
Nope, that's pretty much it.
I would-
Well, the contract is under discussion in the, it's 30 days. We'll
Yeah.
better answer on that.
We have an opportunity right now to really make some significant steps forward, because we've got, I think, the right collaborative effort among the airports and the counties and the members and the FAA and the roundtable, number one. And we also have some real expertise on board right now with Bert and Kathleen and others that work well together, that I would like to, and this program is designed to effectively enable us, give us the flexibility to move forward on capitalizing on those unique benefits we have right now. Now, how we do that and what the funding might be still need to be worked out. But this enables us to say, if we had the funding, we had the person, this is how we spend the time. And this
Yeah.
is how we probably move forward. That's what we're trying to do right now.
No, I mean, from my experience the last couple of years, it's definitely needed. I mean, I've seen Kathleen kind of try juggle her time, and really, from my observation, it's a lot more than what is allotted by her job hours. So
And
it's
it's
just-
even compounded because we have so many new members and there's an educational curve, right? And
Yeah.
so, the need right now may be greater than it's been in quite a while. So I 100% agree with you.
yeah.
Also, we had a changeover in our clerk duties, and so Kathleen's been sort of doubling to do that during this period. So
Sure.
that put a larger burden on her workload.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely true.
We have Diane on board now. Things are gonna,
Thank you, Diane.
Things are gonna change. Good.
absolutely.
So before we take any final comments, the next step is we intend to present this at the June 4th roundtable meeting, June 5th roundtable meeting. And there will be a report out with the work plan recommendations to the roundtable for their approval of them. And so we'll go through the discussions that we've had today. Once we get this finalized, we'll send it to the committee members again for any final reviews of, if there's any comments or anything we didn't get right or we somehow missed, please let us know. Bert, then please do too, obviously.
Yeah.
And so, then we'll present it and hopefully get it approved. And that'll be the work plan for the upcoming year. Again, this fall, we'll have the meeting on the 5-year strategic plan, which sort of governs the work plan. And I'm sure, some of what we talked about today, that's not in the last 5-year cycle, might be in the next 5-year cycle. But that's for the subsequent meeting. Are there any other comments or any additions, deletions, Catherine? do you have a comment?
I just want to clarify, so on goal number 7, we are, I guess, in agreement that everything that's there is as written,
Yeah.
with the exception of the item number 1, the first number 1, which we are not deleting, but rather saying that we're going to participate and update Noise 101 training and other educational resources.
That's what I heard. Anybody disagree with that?
No, no worries.
Thanks. Okay, yes, but. Oh, thank you. I'm almost convinced. And before we adjourn or go to the next, the last item, which is adjournment, I need to take public comment. So if there's any members of the public that wish to provide input on the agenda topics that we just finished talking about, the work plan itself, please indicate by raising your hand or indicating to Diane, and we'll recognize you. Diane, could you please open public comment?
Yes, currently there are no hands released on Zoom.
And there's nobody in
And
chambers
and no one in chambers.
and nobody on chambers. Okay. Hearing no public comment, we'll close public comment. Any last comments for the members before we adjourn? So
No.
before we adjourn, I want to thank you for a very successful, great meeting. I really do appreciate you all making time to show up and adding your comments. I think we have a very good work plan, with a lot of initiatives, a lot of work. I think if we can get a lot of it done, it will be a very successful year. So with that, thank you. We stand adjourned.